Okay, just share your live.
Awesome. I need to call Sherry. I'm hearing something else in my headphones.
Alright.
I'm hearing something else in my headphones. Yeah.
But this is your headphone, eh? Your headphones. Monitor here. You don't need this. You don't need this. So headphones, monitor up there. Yeah?
And you do not need the headphones initially if you don't want to. You don't need it initially. You can relax without.
But just check it for me to make sure you
I'm
can
in
both channels.
right now.
Both channels, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
16 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. Oh my goodness, it feels so good to be sitting in this chair tonight. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, listeners. Let me first apologize for our delayed start this evening. And you guys wouldn't believe what happened. We had everything set up on our tripod for the Facebook folks like we normally do, and as I was doing something it just fell and broke. So with the help of Showin of Q95, by the way it's his birthday, happy birthday Showin. I hope you enjoy your evening and the rest of your birthday, and my guests here were trying their best to put it together so we can get it to work. So please do sincerely accept our apologies for our delayed start here this evening. But I know you all are a very forgiving audience, so I know you are quite fine with the fact that, you know, we've explained ourselves and we've said why it is that we are a bit delayed, and that you absolutely understand. What I need from you, especially those of you on the Facebook Live, is to just say good evening and to let us know that you are here. Also remember to like and share our live Facebook Live this evening of the In the Spotlight radio show. So it has been a very long time since I've been here. What was the last program we did? What I know though is that we were preparing to have Delia Coffee Weeks the following Monday. Everything was already in place and we were all set to go, but I visited the doctor on Wednesday and doctor determined that I was going to surgery on Thursday. So everything had to, you know, just take a standstill, be on a standstill for the moment until I was healed enough that I could go back to work. And of course, once I can go back to work, then I can be here to do the In the Spotlight radio show. And I'm very, very proud and very happy with the guest that is starting us off again with the program. You know, we sometimes take breaks for, you know, sometimes reasons that are beyond me. And so tonight I just want to make sure that I share this in the various areas that it should be, so those who need to see it have access to it, and then we can get things going right away here on the In the Spotlight radio show. A pleasure to be back. I suspect we are going to have a fantastic program tonight, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. So let me say good evening now in a proper manner to all our listeners via Q95, FM radio. I always appreciate this partnership that I have with Q95 in hosting this program on a Monday night. So thank you, Mr. G, the team, who are always very supportive in ensuring that we are okay and good to go. And I also want to say good evening to those who are listening on whatever medium that's available. We thank you for tuning in. Those of you who are on our Facebook Live, and we have quite a few persons tuned in via that medium as well. You know, we keep it simple. You know, I've not yet gotten around to all the fancy things that are available with streaming. And, you know, I've had one or two people offer to help. So once I get that going, you know, we'll have all our fancy streaming things going on. So thank you everyone for tuning in to the program. It is our pleasure to have you, and it is indeed our pleasure to be back on the program this evening, the In the Spotlight radio show. So, guys, let us get things going here on the program. Again, please share our live. The gentleman we have on tonight, yes, just say hello to us. That's all we want. Say hi to me, say hi to Andy, and let's get things going here on the program. Our little mishap may have, you know, just shaken me just a little, but I think I'm all settled and good to go right now. Anderson Jolly Jr. or the second. Good evening to you, and welcome to the studios of Q95 and the In the Spotlight radio show.
Well, good evening to you, Ferdina. It's a pleasure to be back in the studios again, and you know, it's wonderful to be on your program. I'm a fan of the show, as you know, and I've been for a long time.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure to come and sit and talk with you, and you know, it's always wonderful, you know, when we visit and we share ideas, and you know, we meet together and we have some suggestions or ideas that we can take and move forward with. So it's a pleasure to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you. I will also allow you to greet the folks who are listening via the airwaves of Q95 and those who are actually on our Facebook Live right now.
You know, everybody out there in Radio Land, Facebook Land, all the Facebook friends, it's a pleasure. Welcome again to a great program, and thanks for tuning in and taking some time out to join us.
What are we gonna talk about tonight, Andy?
You know, it's all open. We can talk about just about anything you want. But you ask the questions, and I'll be the gracious guest that answers them. So.
All right, so we're looking forward. So let's begin, Andy, by getting to know you. We need to know the individual, the person that we have in the studios here tonight. So let us begin with some background on Anderson Jolly Jr. First of all, why are you a junior?
You know, well, I can tell you, my dad and my mom decided that a long time ago. You know, my father is Anderson Jolly Sr. and my mom Fatima Jolly, and I was born back in 1974, you know, a long time ago. So
very long time.
way beyond me. And I think my father created a junior. I have no idea why. I don't know what got into his head and what the ideas were around it, but you know, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because you can't be a junior and be a mess up when your father is, you know, really good. You know, you have to almost walk in his footsteps or emulate the ideas that he has. So I think part of that helps you as a person, because you really want to, you know, carry on his legacy, you know, and really make the name stay alive and represent what he was. So that's a place that I've seen myself coming from, and I think it's wonderful that I've been able to do and accomplish some of the things that he has.
But Andy, you appear to have continued.
Well, you have to, because It's almost like that the day that you were born, your parents put this burden on you. They gave you the same name as, and now you go to school. Everybody knows you. Everybody expects stuff from you. So you have the expectation from day one that you start. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing. So it just depends on, I guess, what mentors that you have, or the person who you have mentoring you that you're trying to roll with. So, but I had a very good mentor in my dad. He was a great man, and
we're going to talk a bit about him as well tonight. Yes. But interestingly, Anderson Jolly Jr. also has a junior.
I do have a junior as well, which is even more pressure. And he's 24 years old now, and a very good kid. He's better looking than I am, I'll tell you that. And he's taller, and his mom is very tall, and he's followed in the same footsteps like his grandfather and myself. So he's in pharmacy school right now, and will be coming out soon. So we're trying to make sure we keep things going in the right direction. He himself has a lot of pressure because his dad has been has been very tough on him to make sure that he understands what his family tradition represents and what role he has to play in making sure that he keeps that model going.
Was it a natural transition for him into that, or did you kind of coax him a little into it?
you know, it's very difficult to say that it's a natural transition, but if all that's what you see, sleep, smell every day, I mean, you really have no choice. And, you know, he made up his mind on that, and he's seen some of the work that we've been able to do for people. So his passion gravitated towards that as well, too. And he's probably smarter than all of us put together, too. I mean, the young kids these days, you know, they don't just come out anymore. You know, they know how to use the cell phones, the remotes. They know every gadget that comes out. So, I mean, there we are, and we're like getting by with cell phone, and they know how to program it. They can open it, build it, repair it. So I think the kids that are coming out of school now are definitely going to have some advantage over us old folks. And not that we're that old, but we're just old when it comes to things like technology.
Will he be coming back to Dominica, or will he?
He visits. He definitely visits.
Okay.
I don't know what I don't put any pressure on him to do anything. But you know, he visits. Okay. He definitely comes by and visits every summer. He spent several summers down here. He likes Dominica, but you know, it depends on what the opportunities are and where they lie. You know, but he has a lot of opportunity, you know, in the U.S. as well. So who knows? We'll see. We just wait and see.
Andy, sadly, I didn't have the opportunity to host your dad on this program, which is all about, you know, sharing the stories of people like himself. And so I'm going to depend on you a bit this evening as we talk about your background and your upbringing, to share with us a bit about Mr. Jolly. I do remember Mr. Jolly. Mr. Jolly was such a polite man.
Very polite and humble.
Very humble man. And it's really sad that I didn't get to interview him, but I'm hoping that as you speak about your father, that you will get us to understand better who this gentleman that we didn't know much about, because he was always just about his business, doing, you know, in his pharmacy, helping people, you know, advising and all of that. But I'm sure there's many of us who do not know much. Now, I know the program is not about your dad tonight. It's really about you. But you so consented. We spoke about it before, and you said you have absolutely no issue sharing with us some information about your father, Anderson Jolly Sr. So as we get around the background element of you, a key element, of course, is your father.
It is. There's been a lot of influence in my life. I'll tell you that much. You know,
How do you start talking about Mr. Jolly?
Well, Mr. Jolly came from a very humble beginning. He's St. Joseph. And you know, he came to the city and we still have pictures in the office of him on a bike riding. He had a bicycle, and but you know, he went to study pharmacy and came back as a pharmacist, and worked with Greens for a while, then jumped over to Charles Pharmacy. I don't know how many people remember Charles Pharmacy. It used to be Charles Pharmacy, and then after that, you know, bought in and started his own store with his brother. But he was a very gentle man. Nobody really knew much about it. He didn't tell everybody a whole bunch about him, but his telling was in his actions. He did a lot. And he wasn't one of those guys who did things and then just so that the community could find out. A lot of what he did or supported or people he supported, nobody ever knew or found out. I mean, it's not until sometimes you're walking in the road and somebody says, hey, you know, your dad did this and this and this for me, and like, I have no idea. Nobody knew, you know. He always did things in his own way and made sure that they were done for people. He loved to help people, and he had a remedy for everything, you know. He was one of the guys that you could come to and talk to, and he was so gentle and available. You could tell him anything, you know, and he was definitely a good guy, and he knew the pharmacy subject very well, and he got a lot of young people into pharmacy, people that would not necessarily have jobs. If I had to count the number of people growing up that my father helped, I mean, half of them are probably in the US still, and half of them are probably in Dominica still. But he helped a lot of people get jobs or get into jobs that they would not have normally done. They would have been on the street, they would have been in, you know, doing the wrong things, but he got them off, and he put faith in them, you know. So for that, I think a lot of people owe him a lot of gratitude or give him a lot of gratitude. People came in and they had no money for prescriptions, or they had no means of getting prescriptions, and how I found out about that was so amazing, because every now and then my dad would come home with some big box of fig or a big plantain or who knows whatever it was, you know. And it's like, well, I know he didn't go buy the plantain.
A matter happened there.
Yeah, something happened. Somebody would just drop off a crackers bag of something for him, you know. And half the time he would be so grateful because he understood how those ideas work. You know, some of the people couldn't bring physical money for him, but whatever they had, you know, they would definitely bring for him. But he was a good guy, and I think when we lost him, we lost a lot. And some of his last words to me while we were sitting on the step, he died in North Carolina, over at my house in North Carolina. And we were sitting on the step, and I think his last words meant so much to me, and I think they will to so many people. He you know, he knew he was gonna die. He was in his last days, and we're there sitting on the step, and he says, you know, that Andy, I don't want you to worry anymore. He says, it's not how long you live, but it's how you live.
Oh my God.
And that just stuck with me. So
Yes.
it was very, very passionate. So
Did he ever share the story with you or your siblings, your family, as to how pharmacy was the chosen career path?
yeah,
Or how he got into pharmacy?
Well, you know, it wasn't like a story. It was back then. My father actually started working at the morgue, and I remember that he used to work. A lot of people would not remember that, but they used to pay people $1 a day just to work at the morgue, and he would be the guy who goes in there and cuts up all the bodies and, you know, and do all the stuff. The guy would just come up and write the reports, you know. And he told me the day that he got his best, he did his best, was when the government raised the salary to $2 a day. And he came home with some money in his pocket, you know, but he was a saver and he knew how to turn money around and probably make something. But I think from that profession, he got opportunities in that environment to get into the pharmacy practice, and that's how he got in. But his personality was one that really made him successful in pharmacy. It wasn't the pharmacy. I mean, pharmacy is a good profession, and I think just about anybody can go in and learn pharmacy because it is something that you can learn from a textbook. But he had a very, very bubbly personality, one that, as I said, he could help everybody, and he did try. He would never complain. He would stay late. He would come early. You could wake him up in his bed. He would go down and open up and get something for you. He was Sunday, Saturday afternoon. He didn't really care. He was a serviceman.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
You and your father appeared to have been very close, and you would have spent a lot of time together. Share with us some of the times that you spent with your father.
My dad was, believe it or not, he was fascinated by the Travel Channel, so he loved to travel. One of his, I think, greatest moments in time is just out meeting people or meeting successful people. But I'll tell you something about my dad which will probably put every story in perspective.
Okay.
No matter where this guy went, people loved him. People liked him. I'll give you this short story. We went down to Miami. I always took him up to Carnival. Miami Carnival. He would never jump Carnival in Dominica, but see him in Miami.
Are you kidding?
He was in Miami Carnival. Every year. We never missed a year. And we joined the bands up there and get in. And we woke up at probably about 11 o'clock at night and decided we're going to a jam in Miami, you know. And my dad gets up and dresses up and everything, you know, and we go to this jam, and I'm telling you, and you know, we have a few of my brothers around, and you know, we're walking, we have, you know, 6, 7, 8 people, and we're walking in, and we walk into this place at 11 o'clock. Now the Miami jams don't start till, who knows, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. That's when everything is at daybreak, you know. And I could not believe it. We walked into Miami, and from the moment we walked in, everybody, young, old, men, women, Mr. Jolly, Mr. Jolly. I mean, we got to the middle of the jam at 3 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't because it was hard to get to the middle of the jam. The place was huge. It was a huge warehouse that they were having this thing in. But just everybody knew him and wanted to stop and talk to him, just to say hello, because he had helped them or their parents in some way or another. So,
what would you remember most about your father?
You know, his smile. He had a very infectious smile and a very infectious laugh, and he was always a happy person. So I like that. He had a different perspective on life. You know, he never worried about himself. He always worried about others, even his kids, more than he should. So, but he was a good guy.
My final question as it relates to Mr. Jolly Sr., how do you celebrate his life?
Well, you know, the guy's still alive. You know, in my mind, he's probably still alive and watching down on us every day, because I can tell you, people still talk about him. His picture still hangs in every pharmacy that we have. In fact, they've blown it up so big you can see the pimples on the guy's face now. You know, if he were to see those pictures, he would not want them up, you know, because he was never a fan of putting his face too big, you know. But he's still alive. I think his memories, his ideas are still alive today. And I think people recognize that, you know. So he's not dead and gone yet, you know. He's still around, you know. I still remember a lot of his words of wisdom, things that he would tell you, Things that he would tell you to do. I remember the guy every morning, my dad telling me, brush my teeth still, as a youngster, and now I just go brush my teeth. But every now and then you try to figure out, how did you start brushing your teeth? He would wake you up from your bed and go brush your teeth. He'd sit there with you and brush it. He never wanted big dental bills, but he was a very smart individual. He was not cheap, but he was very frugal in everything that he did. So he's taught us a lot. He was a saver. He wasn't a spender, but he enjoyed life to the fullest. And I can tell you, he took every opportunity that he get to interact with people. He took it.
Mm-hmm. The very fashionable Ferdina Jolly is your
my
mom.
Mother. My mother.
A bit about her.
Oh yeah, she's my mom. Well, I'll tell you something about my two parents. My mom is the one who has always pushed to make sure her kids are well educated. My dad, if it was up to my dad, we would probably be working in
the
a pharmacy.
From the time you left school.
From the day we left school, he would have never gone to study. My mom was always big on education, and if one thing she'll tell you, all her children had to be educated. And today, my dad has 4 sons and a daughter, and they're all well educated. I mean, they all are producing members of society. None of his kids have been stuck on drugs, or none of his kids, all his kids are independent. So I think my mom really pushed for the education part of things, and made us get out there and really learn. So any of her kids that are successful today, it's probably because of my mom, because she wanted us to get educated, and she sacrificed a lot to make sure. I remember those arguments that they used to have. It wasn't cheap, by no means, and it's very hard to send your kids away at 15 or 16 years old and tell them, go study or let them go. Because in Dominica, people keep their kids 34, 35 years old. You're still big man and you're still living at your mother and father's house. You're not going nowhere until you don't marry or something, you hit the win lotto or something like that. You're not going nowhere. But at 15 or 16, they literally had to ship us out to go make sure we get a good education. And that was hard for my dad. But my mom made the sacrifices, and if ever they paid for all our schooling. Some of my brothers I know got scholarships in some regards, but my mom and my dad took care of that. But my mom is very proud of what she has, and she's very fashionable, and she's worked very hard for it, so she should enjoy it. I do wish sometimes she takes more time and enjoys life more. Even today, she's still thinking of her kids, and I'm like, you don't have kids anymore.
You have big people.
You got big people, they're grown-ups, so that's out there a little bit, but she does enjoy life as well. She enjoys traveling and, the occasional party.
The occasional party.
The occasional party. I was talking to one of my brothers once, and they were convinced that she's trying to spend the inheritance having parties. So I don't think that's what it is, but not that we even care about that, but she enjoys a good party and socializing. Okay,
awesomeness. Tell us a bit about your siblings, a little bit about everybody.
Well, I have one bigger brother, Peter Jolly. I know.
Why is he not the junior?
I'm not. No. Well.
Separate conversation.
Apparently that junior conversation didn't come along as yet. So I have my bigger brother Peter Jolly.
Okay.
Who is the chief radiologist over in Barbados, and he has a good story to sometime. Probably he can tell it to you.
I would love that.
He's from Monjon, and then there's myself. After me, I have my brother Trevor Jolly, and Trevor is over in North Carolina, and he's a geriatric specialist over there. So he's an MD as well, and internist as well. He's very smart as well. Those gentlemen are some of the smarter jollies that you'll find around today. Then after that we have Oren Jolly, and Oren is my brother, and most people know Oren because he runs the Jollies organization in Dominica, so he manages that and directs it. And my baby sister Lisa Jolly, and Dr. Lisa Jolly, she owns the clinic over on Hillsborough Street, and she's a diabetic specialist. She's also a good dermatologist as well, and she's a good regular family physician as well, and she's got about 10 certificates after her name. I don't know all of them, to tell you the truth, but very smart as well. So
wow, that's definitely a family of brilliancy.
They do have well, our parents were very, very strict once it came to education. I think it was because of the fact that they knew that they didn't want any of their children to ever stay home with them. So we got constant lectures that you are going to do something with your life. You're not going to remain here with us. And I know there's many Dominican families that probably preach that. Many of us have been through that you need to go. I mean, sooner rather than later.
Yes.
So we were forced to make sure that we did something with our lives and do well. So
awesome. Andy, so your mom in particular focused on education, and all of this has borne fruit, obviously. But besides that, so the strictness, re-education and all of that, what was your childhood like? What was it like growing up in your household?
Well, it was a fun household. I'll tell you that. I grew up most of my life over in Madrill, over right on top Lubia. And that's where we had our family home for a very long time. It was always a fun household. And then after that, we moved over to Santa Roma. Always a fun household. My father worked a lot. My mother worked, quite a bit as well. But they managed the household between the two of them very, very well. We were always on the beach every Sunday. So Sunday was church. You had to go to church. 9 o'clock mass, parish hall. You couldn't miss. And when we were in Lubia, it was the Lubia church all the time. You couldn't miss mass. And if you didn't go on Sunday morning, you had to go on Saturday night. But church was really a big foundation for our family. You had to go to church always. And after church, you could do just about anything. And I remember our parents, if you couldn't go to church, you were forced to watch church on TV in the later years. And we were forced to watch Jimmy Swaggart on TV or whatever religious organization that they had on TV, because that was the thing. You had to spend a few hours in church on a Sunday. But after Sunday church, it was either on the beach or we were home doing barbecue. I remember we always had a barbecue grill, and my mom always had some chicken seasoned, and it was always, we always had family, and that was always good. So that was growing up. We had a very, very good family. But don't misbehave, because I know beatings are no longer a thing. The thing of the past. Nobody gets beatings anymore, right? But we got beaten a little bit. But,
a little bit.
But some of us more than others. but you know what? I'll tell you, were it not for some of those beatings, and they were really, I know some people say, well, it's a flogging or spanking. No, we got beatings. But were it not for some of those, I think a lot of kids would not have worked out as good as they did today, because not all of us were really good kids. Some of us were bad kids and needed a little direction every now and then.
was there a special belt? I know my father had one. It was called John something. It was called. Gail, you're watching. Remind me what it was called.
Yeah.
But he had a special belt.
We had whips. We had it just it was about what was available at the time. I think there were different things during the different years. Whether it be guava, tambourine, whatever they could pick up a spoon, something happened there. But you know what? That's what you deserved at that time, because that you did something wrong and your parents needed to discipline you.
That's correct.
So
that's correct.
and that's just what it was. So you don't hold offense on it. I actually am very grateful that my parents disciplined me up a little bit, because when you were young, it was hard to tell right from wrong sometimes. You had your friends influencing you, which was sometimes not the best influence. Not only that, a lot of us thought we were too big, but we were still under our parents' roof. We felt we could do whatever we wanted. So it was not too bad. It was what had to be done.
Talk to us about your education.
Well, I went to convent prep, and then after that St. Mary's Academy, and did 1 month or 1/4 of Cifacol. They used to call it Cifacol back. I don't know if
CDCC, yes.
This is what they call it, yes. And then my mom sent me off to school, and then I landed in, there was a couple of different choices for school, New York or Seattle.
Okay.
And New York was okay, but New York was rough back in the younger days. It still is rough. So I chose Seattle, and I have an uncle in Seattle, and went to school and stayed there with him. And I learned a lot, because at 15, 15, yeah, I graduated from SMA at 15 and started school up there at 15.
So you were shipped away right after?
At 15, yeah, because you graduated at 15 back then, and so I got shipped away at, literally I graduated SMA in June, and I got shipped out in December, and that was it. So it wasn't very long, and I went to Bellevue College, which is just a community college at the time. They're upgraded and now they're fancy and everything. And did a 1.5 years at Bellevue College. It was supposed to be 2 years, but I went for the aggressive program. I love school, but I'm also lazy. And I'm going to tell people that. It's okay. If you think I didn't say it. I'm going to tell it to you. But here's the thing. I don't want to spend my whole life sitting in school. And I learned that at a very young age. I wanted to get in there, do what I had to do, and get out. And that was my mission. A lot of people go to school and they say, well, we want to socialize. We want to join this program. I joined no programs. I went in school and I said, get me as many, I did as many credits as I could. I remember there were quarters I was doing 21 and 22 credits easily. I was spending 9-10 hours in school. Nothing, no problem for me. So I finished college in a 1.5 years. So instead of doing 2 or 2.5 years of college, I did a 1.5 years of college. So by the time I was 17, I applied for university.
So what degree did you get at the end of that?
At the end of that, you get what they call an associate's degree, the AA degree.
Right.
So you get that so that you could move on to a senior college and join a program. So I did that, and then after I applied for the pharmacy program at the University of Washington, and I was successful gaining entry for the program. I think part of it also has to do with the fact that, hey, guess what? You were on pharmacies. I know the drugs. I know the, so I knew a lot of those things, because I started to work with my dad by the age of literally 9 years old. I can remember putting little bottles on the shelf and stuff, and packing up little things, and throwing boxes outside. So with my dad, he never stayed home, or my mom never really stayed home. You know, they almost had you be part of the business once the business started. So I got into pharmacy school at the age of 17, actually about 17. I was the second youngest person to ever go to pharmacy school at the University of Washington at the age of 17. So that was in itself for them, they wanted to see how that would work. And I graduated from the University of Washington at 20 years old. It was a really bad graduation too, because I remember I was the youngest person in the class. Mm-hmm. Being the youngest person in the class is cool because then you have a reputation for being the youngest. You know, you're like, all these old people are gonna, you know, I'm gonna be changing the diapers, I'm gonna see them old. You know, the problem is that they had a graduation party and it was at an over 21 club. And I couldn't get in, you know. So I really never went to my graduation, you know, function. But I graduated from there and then went out into the working world for a little bit. So it was, but schooling has always been good. But I tell people, don't focus on that part of schooling. After that, I still tried to go into different ideas of schooling. I went into real estate college quite a few years ago. I've done many classes. One of the best classes, I think everybody should do a class in this. And
that is what?
Accounting.
Uh-huh.
I think if you do a class in accounting, it just makes you financially stronger. Most people don't know how to read a balance sheet. Mm-hmm. Most people don't know how to evaluate or write a business plan. Most people don't even know how to balance their own checkbooks. Mm-hmm. Do an accounting class. I don't care what level of accounting it is. I think you should do an accounting class. You need to do one so you understand at least what the profit and the loss means and how it's calculated. So, but education never stops. I'm still doing education every day, and even as pharmacists, we're forced to do continuing education constantly. So that's something that we're forced to do.
Someone says here, completing your coursework ahead of time is not being lazy, it's being brilliant, driven, and not wasting time.
That could be true too.
Yes.
Again, it just depends on how you interpret it.
Yes.
But I just wanted to get in and get out, you know. And I've met several people that have that same idea as I've gone through life. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why they have that idea. I mean, school doesn't really make you any money. School really, you're in school, you're not making any money. You're spending money, you're learning. So you somehow have to figure out how to get out of school and get some things done. You know, really do some practical work. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that has helped me the most is really not the classroom work, but it's the practical work, and that getting hands-on information, doing it. And I'll tell anybody, it's nice to have a big degree on the wall and everything, but it's nothing like saying, I did this or I accomplished this.
Mm-hmm. After completing your degrees and whatever else you had done, what happened? Did you come back to Dominica or did you remain in the U.S.?
I came back into Dominica. I graduated in June, and I came back into Dominica in October, late in October. Mm-hmm. And my son was born, and I came down with my son a month later. So I came down in October and came to work at Jolly's mm-hmm. in Dominica.
And you did that for how long?
Did that for approximately 4 years. It was. I think to anybody out there who's ever worked in Dominica and who's moved overseas, you'll know that Dominica will make a man out of you, or woman, whatever it is. It will make somebody out of you. I think Dominica is one of the countries that really trains people to work really well in the outside world. If you can succeed here
You can make it anywhere.
You can make it anywhere. I think they should just forget about New York. They should say if you can make it in Dominica, you can make it anywhere, because Dominica will really put you to test, and you have to have a lot of patience and understanding in order for you to facilitate movement and trade in Dominica.
And when you speak about Dominica putting you through the test, I would presume you're referring to some experiences that you would have had upon your return and during your time here.
Oh yes, I had experience.
What are some of those that you are willing to share with us that you would have had to deal with in terms of the tests that you referred to?
Well, Ferdina, I'm going to tell you something, and I don't know how many people out there can identify with me. I think Dominica is a very, very great country.
We love our country.
We all do. However, I don't think our country has kept up with the laws, the regulations, the technologies that are out there. So when you take innocent young 15, 16-year-old minds and you send them out there to learn, and they get all these brilliant ideas and see all these big ideas and things, and then you bring them back here and then you say, okay, do something. I need you to sit in an office. And then the people above them who have been there for years before say, just continue doing it the same way that we've been doing it before, or, you know, you're not old enough. You just get some experience, you know. I think what that really does is that it kills your spirit slowly. And it's very hard to take somebody who studied in a very edgy environment.
Dynamic.
I mean, even like University of Washington. University of Washington has one of the top 10 pharmacy schools. It's one of the top 10 pharmacy schools in the U.S. They are on the edge of they're pushing all the boundaries. They're setting all the rules for everybody else to follow. And then you bring me in this environment and you say, hey, I just need you to still keep doing what we're doing. We had an environment that I came from where they had computers and medical records, and then they told me it was okay to put pills in bags and not put a label on it or just write something on it, you know. It wasn't proper care. So you almost had to come back and work in an environment that you really were not trained for, or you have not seen, but it's substandard. And I think that kills a lot of spirit for a lot of people who go study. I don't care whether you study technology, whether you study medicine, you do honestly love your country, want to come back and do better. But sometimes a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do that. And then you have to seek other venues or other ways to get around it.
How do we fix things like that, Andy?
Well, I think it's something that we have to address. I mean, we can't send people to study and not have things or not create positions where those people can use the information that they've studied. So I think we have to understand, we have to give the younger generation a chance to come in. I mean, that's the only way that I think that we're gonna do it. We have things here like tenure. We have outdated labor laws. We have people sometimes who get in positions because of who you know, not necessarily what you have or you have experience or the degrees that you have. We have a lot of call it square pegs in round holes here. I see people that have the degrees but they don't have the jobs, you know, and it's very weird. So you have to try to match things up a little more evenly and put the creative people on the front line. If you have smart creative people, it will always work. But if you have the people that are just holding back those people, those creative people have to leave. Creative people don't stick around because they don't care. They know that their creativeness will work in any environment and they can create. So
you would eventually leave at some point. Did that influence your decision? What you just shared with us, did that influence your decision to leave and probably go in search of maybe...
I'll tell you what there's lots of things that influence my decision, but I think one of the biggest factors is I mean, I was a young buck. I was here. I was working. I was here to stay. And I remember going into the bank. I'll tell you the story, Ferdina. I went into the bank and I said I want to build a house.
Because your mortgage.
I know. I was 21. I came down here. I'm changing things around 22, 23. I need to build a house. I need to know what I need to build a house. I'd like a bank loan to build a house because, you know, and I remember the bank, you know, setting up the appointment for me and I coming in, and they basically told me, you're kind of young to be taking a loan. People at 20-something don't take loan to buy a house.
Oh God, that must have thrown you off.
And I think that threw me off a little bit because I was like, I'm too young. Everybody always told me that everything I went into, I'm too young. And I think that threw me off a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I think even my parents were like, hey, take it easy. You're moving too fast for us. You know, and I'm like, well, that's the way they taught me. We got to catch up to speed, you know, and that threw me off a little bit.
So you walked out and just accepted that?
I walked out and accepted it. And I was fine with it. I didn't have a problem. I just knew I wasn't going to stay in it, you know. And I'm going to tell you, Ferdina, I left. I went to the U.S. and 1 year later I bought my first house.
Imagine that.
I made a call to the bank of, it was called Seafirst Bank. They call Bank of America now because every bank got bought over by Bank of America. But 1 year later I called in, I went and got a mortgage, brought in my pay stub, bought a 4-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms, happy. You know, again, you have to allow
different
environments. And I'm not saying nothing's wrong with the one that we have. But as I said,
be a little bit more facilitating and accommodating, no matter the person's age.
You have to, because the rest of the world is. And as I said, if you send people, you know, if we were studying in Dominica and this is all we knew, it probably would have been okay.
But your eyes were open.
But you've seen the world. We've traveled. We've understood things. We've gotten degrees. We've moved out there. We can't come in here and accept the same thing or do the same things that we've done for the last 50 or 100 years. We have to understand that people are going to come in here with progressive ideas. We're going to have to try new things, and you're going to have to make way for the young people. That's it.
So you left and you went back after 4 years, you said?
I left after 4 years. I think I left October 2000.
What was the plan, Andy?
The plan was just to, you know, I left here with a plan, and I decided that I wanted to do 20 years and work hard and save my money, and then I could come back to Dominica. So I left and I took my family with me as well. And I went back to Seattle, and the old place that I worked for had been bought out by Rite Aid, and which is a huge chain pharmacy. And I called them up and they said, we remember you because I used to work with Payless before. And
Payless is another
Payless Pharmacy got bought over by Rite Aid Pharmacy. And all the older people from Payless were still working for Rite Aid, and they're like, we remember you. We'd love to have you back. I made 2 calls, had a job lined up for me in 5 days.
Awesome.
I still had all my qualifications and everything because I never let my qualifications go.
By then, how qualified were you, Andy?
Just regular pharmacist. Okay. I had 4 years under my belt as a pharmacist.
And the previous 2 years?
And
year and a half.
A year and a half, yes. So I mean, I'm a decent pharmacist. But not only just pharmacy, you have to understand that while I was just doing pharmacy, probably in the US, when I came down there, I did pharmacy, business, the staff management, you did the retail portion of things as well. So there was a lot more. You opened the store in the morning, you closed it at night. You know, we you know, there's so many new things and new products that we had set up. So we had tried a lot of new things. So that was really good to know. So I started working for Rite Aid in 2000, October. I remember it was, I think it's 2000. end of 2000, and I continued working for Rite Aid as one of the pharmacists. I achieved a lot at Rite Aid, lots of goals. I was the first $250,000 pharmacist for Rite Aid. Most pharmacists made $85,000 to $100,000 a year.
Explain that element to me.
I just worked more than everybody else. Most pharmacists made a yearly wage for a pharmacist is about $85,000 a year.
Okay.
The really good pharmacist
It's about $7,000 a month.
Just about. So the most of them did just about that. About probably $6,000 to $7,000 a month. The good pharmacists, the ones that were managers and so on, probably did about $100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
I was easily at $250,000 a year, which is $250,000 a year.
You made.
I made.
That was your salary.
That wasn't salary. I was hourly. So, I mean, it was a combination between working, covering extra shifts, and I did okay. I did really well. I did very, very well for Rite Aid for many years. I covered stores for them all over Washington. I went in and fixed stores and, whatever they needed us to do, it was not easy work. Because you had a lot of time you had to be gone from your family, and you were at foreign places. There was times that I would not see my home for probably 2 months, mm-hmm. because you were on the road. You were either flying from one place to the next place or traveling from one place to the next place. It's like you use everybody's toilet but your own.
Mm-hmm. And at that time, Andy, you had a wife and a son.
I did have a girlfriend and a son.
A girlfriend and a son. Okay.
Yes.
And you had to leave them. You married a little later.
I married a little later. I married a few years after.
All right.
But it was what you had to do to survive. I had to pay the bills, and
mm-hmm.
you had to make sure you had cars for everything. But everything depended on you. So at that time, it was work as much as you can. So I worked 7 on, 7 off.
Okay.
Which is straight 7. And then on my 7 off, I would cover 6 more. So basically, it was 1 day off every, 2 weeks. And I think I still have the longest number of hours worked in a day. I also have the longest number of days worked constantly titled at Rite Aid. So I worked 36 hours straight, non-stop.
And you use the word lazy in your.
I gotta get it done. That's the problem. I want to get it done. Which was really long days.
Yes.
But 36 hours straight once, and then I also worked 6 months straight without a day off once, which is fine because, as I said, I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've always done it. I've done it well. I practice very heavily. I stay very well educated, in tune with my craft, and I'm good at it.
You're good at it.
I had a good teacher.
Mm-hmm. Your father.
My father,
Yes, yes.
So
many kind compliments about him on the live. I must
always.
admit. So Andy, from Rite Aid and all of this money you made at Rite Aid.
No more money. You make the money, you spend it just as fast. You know that, right?
Where did you go from there?
Well, I got an opportunity in 2007 with a gentleman who owned a small pharmacy,
mm-hmm.
and he wanted to move on from the pharmacy, and that gave me an opportunity to move into that. It wasn't my opportunity. It was actually brought on to me by 2 other gentlemen who says, Andy, let's go into this opportunity. It's going to be good. We can all manage it. It was a small pharmacy. It wasn't doing that well, but we were going to kind of manage it in our off weeks, mm-hmm. and make it grow into something, and eventually, who knows what we would do with it one day. The problem was everybody else backed off.
So the 2 people who brought it to you
backed off, and so I, you know me, at full speed ahead. I got nothing to lose, and I was in a good position. Bills were paid.
I love your attitude, Andy.
I got everything being taken care of. So I bought the pharmacy for $1.
What?
I did. I bought a pharmacy for $1.
Explain that.
You did. I mean, that's what I paid for it. Well, the gentleman had the pharmacy, and he wanted to move to California. He had nobody to leave it with. The pharmacy did have some debt attached to it, a couple $100,000.
Okay.
So I agreed to take all his debt over, and I bought the pharmacy for $1. It wasn't doing that well. It was a very small pharmacy in a medical building.
Okay, pause.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
A couple
Not
$100,000.
doing a couple, okay.
A couple $100,000.
Not doing
yeah.
very well.
No.
And you buy it.
Well, the problem was, you know, the problem was really not with the pharmacy.
Okay. It was how it was run?
It was how it was run.
It was how it was run.
And I figured if I could do this for other people every day, if I could fill 100 prescriptions for somebody every day.
And do it successfully.
Mm-hmm. And they could pay me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All I had to do was fill 50 for myself. And I would pay myself.
What about the debt element?
The debt element is just debt. That's all it is. You see, the nice thing about what a lot of people don't understand about business is that if you can get a good business, you can buy yourself out of debt easily. You're going to have to put some work into it. You're going to have to stay late, open early, be on the hustle. But once you buy yourself out of debt, you've literally purchased your freedom. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was doing a lot of self-education programs. I mean, I love self-education. I think education is the key. You see, what I've done is nothing special. In fact, I can walk across the street and do it for you and duplicate it. But it's not because I did it once before. It's because of the education I have, the knowledge, the experience. If you can put all those things to work, you can duplicate it, and then you can duplicate your success.
How did you flip this business, this
well,
pharmacy? What did you do?
I didn't do anything. I worked it. I still work it today. Believe it or not. And
so you own a pharmacy?
I own several pharmacies.
Okay. Talk to us, Andy.
I own several pharmacies. So I bought this business and I started to work it, and it was, as I said, doing very, very poorly. I mean, it was so bad that the suppliers called me in and said, "Hey, can you go ahead and shut this thing down because we're gonna come and take all our drugs." So I took $50,000 worth of money that I had in real estate. I was into real estate at the time as well too. And I paid them off $50,000 and told them, give me a year to turn this thing around. And I started to work it. And from there, I built relationships with people.
Important.
And I built a good relationship with a bank. And 1 year after that, well, it was 2 years almost, September of 2009, I had a bank write me a check for $400,000 to pay off all the previous debt and also give me some working capital. They took a chance on me because keep in mind, new business, you don't have a lot of tax
well, you
returns.
talk a good talk, Andy.
Yeah, I talk my best into it, you know. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's been a good relationship.
Yes.
But we really worked hard on this thing, and they wrote me a check for $400,000. I bought out all his debt, and there it is. I started my own, changed all the name and everything.
What is the name of the business?
Jolly's Pharmacy Incorporated. So, but it also goes by Ready Meds Pharmacy. So Ready Meds Pharmacy is the doing business name. So I own the Ready Meds Pharmacy Corporation. The Jolly's Pharmacy Incorporated position. The one in Roseau is Jolly's Pharmacy Limited.
Okay.
So I started that, and boy,
So you started with one?
I started with one.
This one that you bought for $1.
For $1.
That you were able to talk your way to a banker.
To a banker.
To give you $400,000 cash.
That's right.
To pay off the debt
to
of
pay
that
off the
business.
debt. And the bounce checks from some of the employees.
Oh my goodness.
You know, every now and then you'd write a hot check, you know. That's why a lot of people write checks on Fridays, you know, because they know. I don't know if you go back that far for that. The banks were closed on Saturday and Sunday back then, you know, so you have to write the employee checks on Friday afternoon late enough that you know it wouldn't hit the bank until Monday morning. So I had a lot of times like that. You know, a lot of people think it's easy breezy, but you know, you had to nip and tuck and make sure you could make it happen. Mm-hmm. From then we worked it, and we grew it. We worked it, and that's probably how I got divorced too for that. So I think my wife saw the pharmacy, and I told her I was gonna take over this little place. And you have to see this place. It's the size of this building here, this little studio. That's what it was.
Wow.
So it was 1,000 square feet, this pharmacy. And I think when she saw it, I think 2 weeks later I got divorce papers. But anyway, it doesn't really matter now. It's what it is. It's not everything is for everybody.
That's
because,
true. That's
you
very
know,
true.
But today we run a very successful corporation of pharmacies. So we have a total of I have a total of 5 pharmacies.
5.
And we're the largest drug operators in Washington State today. So we have pharmacies that range all the way from, you know, one side of Washington State to the other side of Washington State. One of the things that I found that helped with us, don't get me wrong, we're not regular retail pharmacies. We don't sell shampoo and conditioner like the Walgreens or the Rite Aids of the world. But we specialized, and this came from my background on working in long-term care. We specialize in taking care of people who are in retirement homes, adult family homes, nursing homes. So that's the specialty that we're in. And my father taught me you must always specialize. If you notice, one of my father's favorite and most famous products was what? I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
Jolly Special. Do you know how Jolly Special came about?
No.
Because you had to have it wasn't anybody's compound. It was Mr. Jolly's special mix. Yes. You had to specialize. If you have to do anything, you have to make your own. I have to have your own formula. And the formula that I picked up was we have to work on these folks, and I'm very passionate about that group of people. I notice we don't put as much energy into Dominica sometimes with the older folks. I wish I could see more development with that, where we have better caregivers or better facilities, and that could be even done as a business if you wanted. I know we have several people who do it as a business, but that could be a big business. I mean, Dominica could be a big retirement community if we wanted to build it as such, where people can come and take their money and come here and retire. You provide nursing services for them, caregiving services, medications, whatever you want for them or their needs are. But it would be a place where they could take their long, hard-earned money after they work and come and enjoy it. So today we serve over 1,700 facilities throughout Washington State. I started with one. Trust me. I mean, we worked our way up to make sure we got it there. And
wow.
Today we run a very successful business. That you know, I remember when I started it, we barely did $50,000 a month. I mean, they were thinking of cutting us off as suppliers. I had to pay them and overpay them sometimes just to keep them in the loop. And today we are their biggest customer.
This is very fascinating, Andy, and I say fascinating because I had no idea of what you speak of. And I know that, and we have the viewers and the listeners locked in. I can tell you this. You really have them locked in. And we had no idea that you had all of this going on. I mean, we know Jolly's Pharmacy in Dominica. We've seen quite a bit of development take place actually with Jolly's Pharmacy. We have Carlton, who did a very good job,
Carlton's
with
excellent.
communication
Very
and
excellent.
sales and so on. And we've seen quite a bit of growth and development with the local pharmacies. But I didn't know you owned pharmacies or you bought pharmacies or
Oh, I mean,
and you went through that.
Pharmacy is our business. That's it's in our blood. That
It is.
installed it in us. And one thing my dad had that would really go for him. He always wanted his kids to do better than him or as good as he did. He always told you, you know what, you have to do something good. You must do something good. They forced that in you, So it was something you heard every day, But today, I run a large corporation, and I have about 150 great employees that do an awesome job.
150.
Yes. I took on a couple partners a couple years ago because sometimes things get a little too big for you and a little too crazy sometimes. So you need some good help. But one of the things that I've found alongside the way, it's not just pharmacy alone. Today I manage several other businesses, but a lot of those businesses came along in the avenue of pharmacy. So I found needs along the way, and I fulfill those needs with new companies. And those new companies don't only serve my needs, but they serve other people's needs as well. So today we have a large group of companies that I own, and some of them we got rid of.
Okay.
We had to sell a few of them.
Yes.
It gets a lot to manage.
I'm sure.
It gets a lot to manage. But the key to the whole everything is making sure you have good people by you. And everybody comes up and they said, well, I'm a self-made millionaire. And I'm like, no, you're not a self-made millionaire. You didn't do all of it yourself. You had people who helped you along the way. You had a mother to thank, a father to thank. You had your brothers and sisters. You had a secretary. You had an office assistant. You had people who stepped in your life and gave you the opportunities to get along. So I've had many wonderful people who've helped me along the way to get where I am today. And today, it's nice. It's good. I can tell you it's really good. It's better than, it's good to have things that you can help other people now. And that's the way I see it.
Where are you currently based, or are you?
You mean like where do I stay?
Yes.
All the time? It just depends on where I need to be.
Yes.
So at any one point in time, I could be anywhere.
Okay.
I have businesses in several different locations. So, but my main location is going to be in Seattle, Washington. That's where I reside. We have a store in Everett, which is Renton is going to be the main store, which is just about an hour off Seattle. But we have stores that are probably a couple hours away from there. So we have one in Everett, one in Lacey, and then another one in Spokane again. So those Spokane's a 2 or 3 hour, well, by plane, 2 hour run by plane across. But we have stores, and I'm planning to do a new one when I go back up.
Again.
Well, there's the need.
And there's the opportunity?
There's the opportunity and there's the need. So we haven't stopped building this yet. And if you give people the opportunity, there's no need for them not to grow.
Let us talk about COVID.
COVID.
And the link in terms of what you're into, the business that you're into.
Well, COVID has been interesting for us. And I'm going to tell you, my phone does not stop getting texts. I can tell you I got 5 of them today.
Yeah, I only got to speak to you tonight after trying to do so for the past few days.
I know. And my phone does not stop ringing because I make myself accessible to a lot of people. And COVID is something that we're going to have to deal with for a little while. However, if we do it correctly, I think it will be gone sooner rather than later. The COVID vaccine is available now. Lots of my employees have actually started getting it. My organization, Ready Meds Pharmacy, we last year we vaccinated more people for influenza than we've ever done. I think we did a little close to 5,000 people, just immunizing people. And these are people that we go out to their facilities, get them immunized. We're probably going to be doing the same with COVID.
I was about to ask, are you getting prepared to
yes,
do that?
we are getting prepared
already?
We are getting prepared to do that. So that's something that's going to be coming up for us. The COVID vaccine is one that's a little tricky, simply because you have to do the first shot and then you have to do one a little bit later. So that's going to be big for our organization again. We're going to be out there, and we're probably going to do, who knows, under 10,000 vaccines easily for people. Simply because if we just did whatever we did for the last couple months, and you have to multiply that by 2, you'll hit 10,000 vaccines very easily. And put that in comparison to what you have to do every day. It's amazing what we've achieved. I mean, if you have to put things in perspective, I mean, we fill the number of prescriptions every day, every month in my pharmacy, that there are the number of people in Dominica today. Or we do over 72,000 prescriptions a month, and that's a lot of prescriptions for anybody.
And before we move on, tell me where the ideas came from to begin changing things around in terms of the local pharmacies. Does Jolly's locally, by the way, roll up into your...
No, not at all. My brother manages. No, it does not.
Okay.
It's totally separate. So I have very little other than the fact I know the people at Jolly's, and they're all nice people. Carlton, very special guy. Carlton is a man after my own heart. He speaks very, very well. And other than that, I will tell you though, Ferdina, for many years, I know I don't want to tell you that I was over there doing one thing and Jolly's is doing something.
There was the synergy.
Oh yes, my dad and I talked every 2 days. We were on the phone. We spent time on the phone. Daddy, here's something that's new. And my brother and I, Oren, continue to talk on things and ideas. And we share ideas. I have something that works good for me, I'm going to pass it on to him.
Correct.
He has something that works good for him, he passes it on to me. So we share ideas, and together we make a good team. But no, I don't do anything much. I mean, other than every now and then they invite me to speak on a certain topic or something. I try to pretend and be as lazy as possible for that.
You're definitely not
okay?
lazy. Somebody actually wrote that this is a hard-working young man. But your brother Oren then is doing a very good job.
He is. I mean, that guy is a hard-working guy, and he gets up early and stays late, and he's doing a fantastic job leading the charge. One of the things that really, I run. I think about 12 companies today. I stopped checking a while ago. About 12 companies today. And one of the things that I ask everybody in my companies to focus on is customer service. I'm big on customer service, and I think that if you do not run the charge on customer service, then you don't really succeed. You might make money, but you will not succeed. You might have customers that need your service, but you will not succeed. And too many times we have people who are just relaxed on customer service. They don't go the extra mile for you. They don't ask the tough questions for you. They're not willing to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go in there and make sure this gets done for you. I'm going to do my very best for you. And that's really one of the things that we've been really working on at Jolly's is customer service. And but it's not an easy thing, because you have to realize you're dealing with people. And when you deal with people, sometimes, even though you might have a great idea for it, it doesn't translate into that. So we try to make it as easy as possible to make sure that customers get what they want in the manner that they want, but we make sure that there's enough people, in case that doesn't happen, that there's somebody that you can talk to.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the In the Spotlight radio show here on Q95. We're making a comeback after a long break. I think most persons know that I was actually out for a while, having done eye surgery. Healing well, so I'm able to be here tonight to do this wonderful, this is an amazing program here with Anderson Jolly Jr. I am going to take a break, give him an opportunity to take a sip of water, although I think he just did that. So we're going to take a break, and if you have a question for Andy, please feel free to send your question to WhatsApp 275-7565. That's 275-7565, area code of course 767 for those of you who are outside of Dominica. We are just going to take a quick break and we're coming right back. Okay, we seem to be having just a slight tidbit with our, I'm not hearing anything in my headphones, but hey, you know what? Once Andy can hear me and you can hear me. You can hear me still, right? Just confirm that you can hear me still. And you can hear me, but I can't hear myself for whatever reason. Okay, so we're just going to continue having the conversation with Andy. He has taken his sip of water, so he's good. I see the phones are lighting up. I didn't give a number for you to call, but anyway, I have to make sure that my headphones are working properly first before I attempt to take a telephone call. But in the meantime, you can you give him 3 more hours. Oh my God. You can send your WhatsApp messages to 275-7565 and area code 767, of course, and I will relay those to Andy. But we're going to talk a bit with Andy about what he's focused on right about now. So what is the main focus for you, Andy, right now?
Well, I think, COVID-19 is a big focus. But COVID-19 brought a lot of things to light for us. And I think it brought about all the things that we may be vulnerable to. Meaning that, hey, what are our deficiencies? Things that we probably need to work on. Things that we need to fix. Areas that we can improve on in the healthcare system. For a very long time, the healthcare system has been moving along, but we've been, I wouldn't say getting sloppy, but there was things that we could have done better. Even washing our hands, we could have done better. You know, using soap, we could have done better. So there were a lot of things that we could have done better, and we never got the opportunity to do, and I think that's brought it to light. So now COVID-19, I think, has to be the big focus. I like looking at new businesses right now. That's something I think Dominica has so much potential for different and new businesses, and I wish there were people who would take on the charge a little bit more. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't see businesses that are good, but a lot of times when I look at things, I can't see a really good balance sheet. I can't see really good records of things. I think people have to get in with industry standard. When I look at evaluating a business, I want to make sure that their taxes have been filed. I want to make sure that they have good government records of standing. You want to make sure that you have a good profit and loss statement. You want to see how much money was put in and by who. How much are the owners taking out of the business? So I look at businesses and I try to evaluate those on that and see. So I still enjoy pharmacy very much. So pharmacy I love, and hence the idea that we're going to be going out there, and I think we're going to be doing a new pharmacy again, simply because there's a need for it out there.
Congratulations and good luck with that.
Well, it will work. We'll make it work out. I like fishing, so I like getting out there and fish. I think we have. I'm interested in the fishing industry here. I think we have a resource that for many years that we've taken for granted in Dominica. It's amazing to see an opportunity like that available and then nobody's taking advantage of it. We have an opportunity here that we have really good waters. They're deep. We have great fish, which means clean fish. They're not eating dirty stuff in the water. And we don't even have a canning place or somebody somewhere good that people can store these tons of fish that they're bringing up, or somebody who's doing the fancy cutting of the fish or sending it to 10 different locations in the world. I mean, there's an industry that we could develop that we could get infinite money from, you know, because all we have to do is go out and send more people out and fish.
Okay, so what is Andy going to do about that?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
I
You're
just see it. I just see it as a potential, because fish is a very big thing. I don't know if you've gone out to eat lately, but they don't charge you $5 for a plate of fish anymore. I mean, if you don't have $50, you're really not eating some good fish. So it's expensive, which means it's in demand. So there's an opportunity to do things with that, you know. So I like that. But I'm still working on a few things that...
Some notes I have here, and this speaks to vaccines for the future.
Vaccines for the future, big thing. You know, I think we're going to see a lot of things. Since COVID came along, you're going to see a lot of things come to light now, or new products come out of the dark, simply because we've had this COVID that has affected the whole world. So now you're going to see a lot of companies producing vaccines with the new technology that they used for COVID-19. So you're going to see a lot better vaccines. The COVID vaccine is a great one. And I'm not here to push the COVID vaccine. The thing has a 90% efficacy rate. And a lot of people will say,
some 95.
Some 95, yeah. It's a little higher, at least 90. But some people say, well, I don't want to take the vaccine, or I don't like vaccines, but guess what? We all have to take measles, mumps, rubella, polio, tetanus, and those vaccines were less effective.
Less effective.
Then there you have one that's 90%. Those vaccines were 60, 70% effective, and we call them good. So there you have people who put their minds together and form something that's at least 90% effective. I think that's where you're going to see things come along.
So what I'm getting from you, Andy, is that you would encourage persons to take the vaccine. And would you take it?
Oh yes, I'm getting it as soon as I get back. I'm getting it. I mean, it's part of the standard that we have to use. If we have to, eradicate COVID-19, we're going to do it. I think if you fly on a plane anywhere, they're going to force you to take it. You know, because you're going to have it. If you are a member of society in the healthcare system, they're going to force you to take it. I mean, it's just going to be part of the normal thing. Even like when we went to school, if you didn't have all your vaccines, I remember that you would not get into the first day of class. You have to have your paper. So I think it's going to become more mainstream here shortly.
What do you know about the new strain and the current vaccines available in terms of?
There are a few new strains that they think that they've come up with. I still think one step at a time.
Okay.
You know, the new strains don't pose any significant risk for us right now. I think
When you say us, you refer to?
Well, I'm
Because
talking.
I heard there may be a couple of cases in Jamaica.
There may, but for us, we're talking about in Dominica locally.
Mhm.
So I think we need to take one step at a time.
Okay.
But let's work on one thing at a time. But I think the vaccines will get better. But part of it is that I think we have to lead a big educational charge again on vaccines. I don't know if you remember how, well, they eradicated polio or measles or any of those things. They really put a lot of effort into the drive in getting rid of those.
Someone wants to know if there are any thoughts and ideas around opening a pharmacy school in Dominica, possibly, or in the region.
You know, I think there might be, you know, I think Orin was leading the charge of something there. They started something, I think there is one, because I know we have a few people that are going to school at Jolly's that would like to become pharmacists. So if that person is interested, Carlton would be a good guy to talk to on that. He would have a lot more information than that. And I know that
But not in Dominica.
Yes, there were programs here.
In Dominica?
Yes,
Oh.
there were programs here. We've had people who have graduated from programs here, I believe. So if you're interested, talk to one of the pharmacists, ask them, they'll be able to give you more information. Carlton would be a good guy. He's right on top of those things.
Carlton is a good guy. Okay, will you talk about partnering with businesses or business-minded people to create great businesses?
Yes.
Break it down.
Well, I think there's good ideas if you put good money behind them, but the problem I think is the money's out there, the ideas are out there, but the people are not out there yet. So if we can round up all those things together, the way I see the world right now, there's money available for everything. You just have to be willing to do the work for it. So if you have a great idea, if you came to me today with an idea and said, Andy, here's an idea, and I could evaluate that and say, hey, this idea might make us an extra $1 million. Let's put it together on paper. And you have the person who has the drive or the willingness to work with it. I think you can find investors for it right now. There's lots of different ideas. Again, the problem really is people have to understand that if you're going to go into business, going into business is not just selling plenty product. You have to have the systems that are gonna keep your inventory straight. You have to have your accounting straight. You have to make sure that your ordering is straight. You have to make sure your personnel is straight. It's not just selling. A lot of people come with ideas, you know, and it's interesting. I had a guy once. I'm gonna give you this quick story. Who wanted to become own a restaurant, and he came and he's like, I want to own this restaurant. I'm a good cook or good chef. And I explained to him, well, what are the other particulars that you're gonna be involved in this restaurant business? Here's the thing. He says, well, what else? All you need to do is cook food and give it to people. He didn't realize that you need somebody to collect the money, somebody to clean the floors, somebody to serve the customers,
somebody to buy the products,
everything,
to get the fish and everything
involved.
You need suppliers.
So he was smart. He took my advice. He went out, got into a nice little restaurant job and said, hey, I'm going to try this out. 3 months later, came back and said, no, I don't want to do a restaurant. I just want to be a cook. Because he left the cooking business and ended up at the front end and saw how the front end was. You know, he said the people never show up for work. And I know restaurant business. I used to own a restaurant. I just sold it in February last year. Thank you. So I owned a beautiful restaurant for many years, and boy, that is a tough business. And it was beautiful, it did well, but it was the toughest business the lowest margin business I've ever done. So we had to get
rid of that
because it was giving us more work and less money. So you have to get rid of it. So I sold the restaurant last year, February, right before COVID hit.
Okay.
So,
good timing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know for the person who bought it.
I don't know. I've never even called them.
None of your business.
None of my business. I've never even called them.
So Carlton says that the Dominica State College is actually offering an associate degree program in pharmacy. It is a 3-year course and a full-time program.
Got it.
So there you go for the person who wanted to know. So Andy, you're into real estate as well.
I am. I went to real estate college.
How do you do all of this?
Well, it's surprising.
And you have so much energy. Look at that.
Well, I do. But I'm still young.
Do you drink some energy drinks or something?
I can't tell you my secret right now, but
you tell me off air.
I'll tell you off air. I went to real estate college, and I learned a few things about real estate. And Ferdina, I didn't get involved in real estate because it was the thing to do or because it was the cool thing. I started off in pharmacy. I decided I need to really learn something new. And remember I told you I was lazy. And I'm still lazy.
You really shouldn't say that.
Well, I am, because I wanted to learn how to retire. So I took the time and I read several books on how people make enough money to retire. I knew that the number of hours that I was doing was not good enough to retire, because even though I was making good money, you spend the money. You're traveling all the time, you're eating on the road, you're doing this, you're doing that, you have bills to pay, you have cars, you're on this treadmill. And you're running the treadmill. Yes, you made $1, but now you're spending 90 cents. You're really not getting far. So I took some time and really learned how most of the wealthy people in the world have made their money. And obviously, some made it in stocks, some made it in businesses, but most of the really wealthy people in the world made their money in real estate. So I decided I wanted to take a real estate class. And I settled up in that, and I did really well. I was very ambitious about it because I wanted to learn it very well. So I've slowed down a little bit. At one point in time, I think I owned upwards of 30-something houses, and I've sold off a lot of them. And actually, I've made more money in real estate than I've made in pharmacy.
Anything else?
Yes, I've spent a lot of money in pharmacy, and while the pharmacy business is a good business, but real estate I've made most of my earnings in, the earnings I can keep and I can enjoy. So real estate has afforded me that. But I love real estate because I love to build things and design things. I specialize in a category now. I have 4 real estate, probably 5, if you include one here in Dominica. But I have real estate companies, and I specialize in buying single-family homes that cater to people, family people, apartment complexes, strip malls, that sort of thing. So I love real estate. I love to fix it. I love to manage it. I love to do everything with it. So, but it's a fun business, and I continue to do it today. I do about 2 homes a year.
Okay.
I buy about 2 homes a year. So.
And resell.
I don't resell very often, but every now and then I do resell. I sell a few houses. Like probably 2 or 3 years ago, I sold about 8 houses or so.
So what do you do with the houses that you have? Do you rent them out?
I rent them out. Yes.
You rent them out.
Yes. So that's what I do. I do a lot of. I have a lot of real estate holdings.
I have to say to you, Andy, that there's quite a few people who are listening to your story and very intrigued with what you're sharing. I have one person who just messaged me and said he has also messaged a number of young men and have asked them to tune in to the program so they could probably
to the young women
learn a little something. Well, this person said young men. But interesting, another person also sent me a message and said, and she's insisting that I need to read her message. She wants to know, on which phone did she message? Oh my goodness. Let's see. Yes, he needs to speak to our young people, especially the young men in the country. So there again, young men.
Well, I think
What do you want to say to young men?
I'm going to say it to all the young people instead.
You generalize.
Because I'm going to tell you there's too much philosophy that it's still a man's world. Because it's not. I'm going to tell you, I have a lot of strong women that I have seen and I still work with today. And I'm going to tell you, in my business that I'm in, or most of my businesses that I'm in, I have a lot of women managers and women workers, and they do a better job sometimes than the men. I'm going to tell you that plain and simple. Women have more finesse, they have more attention to detail than the men, and women tend to care more than the men. So we're going to include all the young people in what we're talking about, just so that they know that they can do it as well. And I think really it has to come down for Dinah to goal setting. I think people have to begin to set goals. And I think the main problem with our society today is that people wait and say, I still have plenty time, I can do it.
You procrastinate a lot.
You don't have plenty time. And that's the problem. You have to set those goals early. If you want to make more successful young people, Ferdina, we could do that in 1 week in Dominica. What we would need to do, we would need to get somebody to walk around to each of the classes, and instead of teaching the kids math and science and teaching them how to multiply and religious studies or any of those studies, I don't really care what it is, teach them some goal setting. Teach them how to set goals, monitor goals, accomplish goals, and set new goals.
So keep building on those goals.
That's it. It's a pebble. That's how you really have to make great people. If you tell me right now, I have to hire an employee, I'm not looking for the employee that's the A student. I'm just looking for somebody who has goals. Because I know that person is going to start at the bottom and they're going to work their way to the top. I'm not looking for somebody to step in and they're all smarty pants and they know everything. No, I'm looking for that person who says, here's where I want to start, but show me what the next step is going to be. I would like to make that next step happen, and the next step. I want goals. So you want to fix all the young people, give them goals. I don't care what the goals are. The goals could be to own a gas station. The goals could be to own a restaurant. The goals could be to be the best fisherman that you are. The goal could be to be a good housewife. We have a problem. We don't have a lot of good housewives. A lot of people can't cook, You know what? Did you do home ec in school?
I did not, but I can cook.
You can cook?
Yeah. My stepmother taught as well.
There you go,
Yes.
But you had that influence.
Indeed.
But these days, if you go out there and you ask the young ladies sometime, hey, what dish you gonna cook? They say, no, we're going to get something to buy. So they stopped teaching home ec. I don't think they teach it anymore. No,
I don't know.
I don't think they teach home ec anymore. Home ec used to teach people how to make a house, how to sew. They stopped teaching agriculture and all those other things. But forget about that for a second. Just teach them goals. What do you want to be? You want to be the best farmer? You want to be the best radio broadcaster? You want to be the best DJ? We don't have enough people who want to be the best. We don't have competition. So if you create that, you will create people who are constantly striving and learning and moving. They've forgotten where to start. Start with the goals.
Start with the goals. Goal setting.
Goal setting.
And everything else will fall in line, hopefully.
Well, everything else will fall in line. But there's one big factor, I think, if you want to also teach successful people that you have to have. And I think I learned this from Warren Buffett. And if more people did this for Diana, we would have huge success. And it's simple as saying no. N-O. No to wasting time. No to not getting the things or paying attention to things that do not help the goals that you've set. No to anything that will disrupt your future. For instance, you want to be a good basketball player. You can't smoke. You have to say no to it.
Right.
You want to be a productive citizen. You can't do drugs. It's just not something that's welcome. It's recreational, yeah, but you're not in the recreational business. What business are you in? You want to be the best. You're going to have to say no to some friends, because those friends might not lead you down the right path or put you in the right areas for success. So you're going to have to set goals, and after you set goals, then you're going to have to say no to everything that does not represent, increase, or help those goals. That's simple. Trick for success, saying no.
Thank you for sharing that. Someone writes, good evening, Ferdina. Please tell Andy he must now replace that word lazy with ambition. Nothing he said tonight categorizes him as lazy. I don't know why.
Well, I'm telling you why I call myself lazy for everybody out there. It's because I always find the most efficient way to do things. I don't waste time. I do the research, I do the homework. And I read a book once, and I think Abraham Lincoln said this in this book. It says, if I had 5 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend 3 hours sharpening my axe. I'm not going to just go hitting and striking for no reason. If I'm going to put my attention to it, I'm going to put 100% so I get it done, I get it finished, so I can move on to the next thing. And that's the key. You have to finish. You have to start something and finish it as soon as possible. Time waits for no man.
Makes a lot of sense.
Simple.
Andy. What do you do for fun? What do you enjoy doing? I
my
heard you
God.
love cars.
I love
Yes, the time is wrapping up on us already. Creeping up on us already.
Yes. Well, I
heard you love cars.
I do love cars.
I heard you love books. Did I hear that too?
I love books. I do love books.
Let's talk about that. What's the fascination with cars?
I love cars. I started.
How many do you own? What models do you own?
What models do I own?
Makes and models do you own? Okay, first, what is the fascination with cars? Let's take them one by one.
I love cars, but not just any cars. I love older cars.
Older cars.
And I love Ford cars. So I collect Ford cars, and I have quite a collection of cars. I think I have somewhere 17 or 18 cars.
What?
I know, that's not a few.
Shame.
I know. But I like Ford Mustangs,
okay.
And I collect cars. But it's not just collecting cars. It's the way that they work and keeping them up and keeping them tuned. So I have a small collection of cars. It's a small. I have friends with bigger collections. Yeah. So I'm small. I'm still working my way up.
I'm giving you the side eye right now.
Jay Leno has about 6 or 7 hangers. You know those
Where
airplane
they
hangers?
keep the and that's where
The
you keep the
planes.
stars?
Yeah, he has 6 or 7. So I only have a little storeroom.
So you just have enough to fit in one hanger?
No, I don't even have enough to fit. But I love cars.
What's your favorite?
1967 fastback Mustang. It's just old. It's the old Eleanor car, the one you saw in Gone in 60 Seconds. So I have one of those.
Okay.
And it really goes in 60 seconds. So I love that car a lot.
Do you drive? How many of them do you drive?
Well,
literally.
I only have 2 hands for that. So I drive them. I drive them every now and then. I try to switch them up one a week or something like that and keep them in service.
But you have one of those Jeeps or something that you drive around regularly?
I have no Jeeps.
No?
I know, I'm not that fancy. I drive around a tiny car for that, and I'm embarrassed now.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I drive around a little tiny, I drive around like a little matchbox. It's a Ford Focus I drive around.
I know the Ford Focus.
Yeah, it's a little car, but it's a souped up Ford Focus, so it's very fast.
And comfortable?
Oh yes, leather seats, interior, leather everything touch speed, and
warm up your seats when it's winter and all of that.
Seats and has a supercharger and a turbo in it, and
my goodness.
it moves. It has the thing I like about my little car. It sits 5 people. I don't think people know it can sit 5 people in there, but it's a little tiny car, and but it has a 6-speed forward. And I like the last gear. It says by Felicia on it, because when you use the 6th gear in that car, you are going really fast and you are going places. So, but I'm very conservative but I collect them. So they're beautiful. They've been great. Actually, my cars have been one of my greatest investments. That since I started collecting the cars, many of the cars have appreciated significantly. Over the years, and I love taking care of them, polishing them, cleaning them, taking them to car shows. I've won many car show awards for them, so there we have that.
I think you deserve all of it though, Andy, because clearly you've worked hard to get where you are today, and you deserve the things you enjoy.
I enjoy things.
Do you boat?
I do boat. I love boating. I own a yacht. Yes.
Where is it?
In Seattle. It's sitting on the water, and this year, because of COVID, I've actually spent more time having people go out and clean it and take care of it rather than using it. But I do love boating. So I boat a lot. I boat quite a few months for the year, and I enjoy seeing new places and just visiting. And boating is a fun experience. It's almost a chance to learn a new skill, because many people can drive, and driving is easy simply because you have the car and you kind of turn it where you want it to go, and it usually goes, if you push the brake and it stops. With boating, you have to consider the wind, the current, the waves, so it makes you more alert to so many more things around you. So, but I love getting out on the boat. It's like having a vacation every weekend. So I frequently spend more time on my yacht than I do at home. So I'm always that's why I'm telling you, I'm always somewhere.
So you're somewhere.
I'm somewhere.
All right, you're always somewhere. And the books that intrigue you, which ones fascinate you most in terms of your love for books?
Love for books. I would have to say the best book I read was the 1 Minute Millionaire. And
that's when you were trying to figure out how to
start.
Yeah.
And 1 Minute Millionaire, I think, is a good read for everybody. And it says basically, in that 1 minute that you change your mind and you decide to do something, it could change your life. And
who's the author?
The author is Robert Hansen, I believe.
Okay.
Is it Robert Hansen?
We'll Google it.
Yeah, but you can go. I think it's Robert Hansen.
Okay.
Or Tom Hansen. One of them. Anyway, it's Tom or Robert. But anyway, there were several good books, but the 1 Minute Millionaire was a good read. Another good book I think was a good read for me, and personally has helped me all through my life, and I still I still love that book and go over it every now and then, is Cash Flow Quadrant. And that Cash Flow Quadrant book was by Robert Kiyosaki. He also wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he has the cash flow game and everything. And one of the things that was very intriguing in his book, which I think everybody can take from that, is everybody is in business. I don't care whether you are a radio operator, a teacher, a lawyer, you're in business. You're not just a radio. I mean, you have to figure out your paycheck. You have to pay your bills. You have a profit and a loss statement. Everybody is in business. The question is, are you serious about the business you're in? Are you treating yourself like a business? Are you saying, hey, this is my minimal cost to do this, or this is my true cost? Are you out there wasting time, or are you really putting some effort into your business? So Robert Kiyosaki is a very, very big influencer in my life as well.
All right, Anderson Jolly Jr. I was impressed. I am sure that the viewers and listeners are as well. And I really do appreciate you being with us this evening on the program. We have to wrap things up, but I'm going to give you some final few words that you can share with those who are listening, and anything of importance you feel you may have left out that you would have loved to share with us.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening. My story is really not over yet because I'm still young.
Yes.
I'm still out there trying new things and doing new things. But just like me, if you want to take a page out of my book, I would say don't be afraid to try something new. I've tried a lot of new things, and today I have several successful companies that I run, manage, participate in, and you have to get out there and try new things because you never know which avenue will work for you. So if you're out there and you're thinking about trying something, put your heart and your soul into it, write your goals down, say no to everything else, and just do it.
Just do it. That's it, Andy?
That's all I gotta say to everybody. That's how simple it is.
Just do it. Just do it. And set goals.
Set goals. You gotta set goals. If you don't have goals, you're useless.
Yes.
I don't care whether your goal is to get up and brush your teeth twice a day. You have to set the goals, and you have to monitor. Most importantly, monitor them. You know, in Dominica, I'll leave with this note, we're very good at making laws. We're horrible at enforcing them. So what good are the laws anyway? You have to be able to police whatever you do. So if you set something, you have to say, who is going to manage this, or tell me if I have succeeded at it, or who's going to let me know when I can move on further. Because you don't want to just set the goals and get there and don't even know if you're there.
Anderson Jolly Jr., the son of the late Anderson Jolly Sr. Thank you so much for being with us.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I can tell you. It was indeed a pleasure having you on the program this evening as we return with the In the Spotlight radio show this evening. Now, I was ideally supposed to probably have you the following week because my guest for tonight was actually supposed to be Delia Coffee Weeks, but you're going to be moving out again soon.
I am going to be heading out again because I got some work I got to get done.
Okay.
And you know, I've been here for a couple months. It's been pleasurable getaway. You know, this time I came down to Dominica and decided I need some rest, so it's been really nice to be out and about and visiting with everybody.
Yes, indeed. So Delia Coffee Weeks will actually be on. Delia was the person that I was supposed to have the Monday before my emergency surgery situation came up. So she's going to be on next week. She was very kind when I asked her to do a little switcheroo. So thank you for that, Delia. Thank you to everyone who tuned into the program. You know, quite a few interesting people as well tuned in and, you know, have been communicating via the Facebook Live and sending me WhatsApp messages as well. I'm sure they've been communicating with you as well. And I think this program was excellent. The tips were excellent. The advice that you gave. I think if only one person benefits from what you said tonight,
I think we'll make a great success.
That is correct. Thank you, Andy. We will be back here for the second In the Spotlight radio show for the year next week, Monday from 8 p.m. Do join us then. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
Thank you.